Hey, NAI football fans, Corey Thorpe here with another edition of the NAIF Ball Podcast, powered by AdCraft USA, your custom apparel, merch, and uniform experts. Our friends at AdCraft have been with us for many years now. They've run web stores for us multiple times. These guys are NAI fans and family who are experts in the apparel and merchandise world. AdCraft allows you to take the hassle out of ordering. Let their knowledgeable design and customer service staff handle everything from hosting the store online, shipping the product, and helping your customers so you can get back to the game. Find them online at adcraftusa.com. All right, NAI football fans, this is Corey Thorpe back with another edition of the NAI Football Podcast. It has warmed up a little bit here in Florida. The guys down in South Florida no longer scared about falling iguanas like they were last week. So I thought I'd bring a little bit of the Kansas chill in, bringing in Coach Terry Harrison from Friends. Coach, how you doing this evening?
Doing good. We call that BTF, big tough Falcon weather down there. So you've been experiencing it.
Yeah, we didn't get any snow, unfortunately. My parents did. Built a snowman, about waist high snowman. I'm a decent snowman for Florida, but you don't come here to hear about the weather. You're coming here to listen to football. It is a banner year for Friends. It's an 11-2 overall season, 4-1 in conference, and I mean, you're sitting there looking at 12th overall in SP plus, 14th ranked defense is absolutely nothing to sneeze at. And I remember talking with you a couple of years ago when you were first taking the Friends job and talking about that. This kind of seems like what you were expecting almost a little bit.
Yeah, Friends is an awesome place, and I know there's guys that pay attention to Indiana football from all over the country and don't completely understand the dynamics and inner workings of the state of Kansas. But yeah, very 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 awesome school and in a really great location, a prime location with a ton of high schools around us and very talent rich area. And so we've been able to recruit really well, and more than that, retain. So kids come and they stay because it is such a great experience. And when you do that, you have a great coaching staff like we have, you're going to have an opportunity to compete, for playoff wins and hopefully further than that even in the future.
Looking back at your season last year, it what really strikes me is the amount of one score games. And there's four big ones, across the season that we'll talk about here. But I'm going to start off with the game in mid October against the Mound Builders. And boy, you ever breathe such a sigh of relief at a blocked field goal?
No, I've never seen that happen before. It was great, very good game. Those guys, they had a great year, and obviously they won a playoff game and went and really played, extremely competitive. I think overall, just such a great, maybe the best year in our conference history as far as postseason success. Even Kansas Wesleyan went and competed really well in the playoffs. So it just shows you, hopefully in the future, however the playoff system is working now, my gosh, it's been a hot topic of conversation. But hopefully there's, the council or the committee that works on the playoff system sees we have great competitive football. And like you mentioned, that game, Southwestern, it was a great game, very competitive. We've been in dogfights with those guys for years. And it was really, their quarterback had a great game and maybe his best game of the season. And so it just was one of those deals where, man, back and forth action, and our guys were able to make it happen late. And super proud of them, and especially how much time we put in the special teams. And you can't necessarily predict that scenario, but it is cool that we do prepare for that, and when it works out, it's pretty awesome.
Then we go just 1 week over, and it's another one score game. This one doesn't go your way against Evangel. It's a 24-21 loss there. And really, I think what really kills you, one, the fact that the team stats say, oh, never mind. I'm looking at things wrong. What really sets it apart there is the turnovers and the
Mhm.
two picks and the fumble. Evangel takes one fumble for a touchdown, and
Mhm.
then obviously that interception turns into the field goal that wins it for the Valor there. I still want to call them the Crusaders these couple of years later. Someday I'll get it right.
Right.
And it's honestly it's just something that we talked about friends all year long is when you're going to play flexbone, you're going to live and die by turnovers, and this one was no exception.
Yeah, and honestly, one of those the interception late was completely on me. We kind of took a shot on a trick play. Honestly, we had some huge success with kind of funky, not normal plays all year long, and
Yeah.
it was just a mistake on my part. It was bad game management. I take great pride in not doing that, and we threw an interception on a trick play, and they were able to come down and kick that field goal. So that was, that one was 100% on me. And looking back on that one, you know how it is. You always want to look back and try to get better. We should have taken that thing to overtime, but Evangel's a quality team. At that point, they'd still not lost a game in our conference. I mean, probably more than anything, they just don't beat themselves. And so when as a head coach, when you make that decision, like, well, why do we do that? And then obviously, you know how it is. There's always things you wish you could have done better. But our kids competed, and I wish I wouldn't have put them in that spot late. But we were still able to make it out and win the conference, thankfully.
And then the 2 weeks from that, my gosh, what a murderer's row one. But you play at McPherson College, and it's a 36-35 win. A squeaker at the end. You get a Nick Cordova 1 yard run with 3:27 left to put it in. But what I want to pull out here is just the explosiveness of McPherson. You have a Tristan Zabo 70-yard pass with 2:36 left in the third. You've got a 72-yard run by Jaleel Brown. I mean, and even a 22-yard touchdown pass there in the second quarter. It's still an explosive play. Talk to me about McPherson coming up and becoming a team that you can't overlook.
Well, they've kind of they've been on the verge of
That
having
is
this type
true.
of year for like 5 years or so now. So they've always been very talented. And it just kind of seemed like maybe their timing this year, their quarterback stayed healthy, so he hadn't been healthy. He hadn't finished the season, I don't think. I know last year he didn't, and maybe before. Regardless, he was healthy all year for the first time I know in 2 years. And then, like you mentioned, the running back was man. He was player of the year in our conference. I think offensively for a reason. He might have had the most catches and the most yards rushing of any individual. And so they just did a really good job of featuring him. They didn't do anything special that was just you know insane to prepare for, but he's very talented, and they did a good job of putting people in binds. And then I think defensively they had a big defensive line and did a really good job in the box, and All American safety in the Nehemiah. I can't remember number 43. I can't remember his
Yeah.
last name right now, but they just have really good players, and they've been there a long time. And anytime you have longevity on a staff, that's kind of the thing. Any conference of football in any division, when you have continuity and people that have been there a while, you're going to be a team that's going to do be tough to beat. And so we played them at their place, and man, it was one of those games. It was really fun and awesome, and we were able to go down and really put a long drive together, made some huge plays when it matters, and gave ourselves that opportunity to win there late. And more than anything, we believe you have the best team culture in all of NAI football, and when you're in tough games, you want to think that your culture is going to win you those games, and we were fortunate to do that this year, almost all of them, other than Evangel there.
And then we get into the playoffs. You get over the hump. You put friends back into the playoffs. You face an Ottawa of Arizona team who, honestly, I wasn't sure if they were going to make it. It's been a I know I haven't seen two Sooner teams in the playoffs since I've been doing this. I don't know how long it's been since two Sooner teams have make it or have made it there. Ottawa of Arizona, I think, is probably the last team in, and you hold them to -5 rushing yards. Obviously, it's a team that's an air raid team, quote unquote. They do like to run the football when they can, but obviously on that day, y'all were able to shut it down through sacks of Luke Gyron.
Mhm. Yeah, that kid's very good. They've obviously been, it's kind of we both have been a bubble team, so
Yeah.
I've been aware of their, it's like so I've always noticed them and been aware of them, and then we've scored so many points over the years, and they have too. So they're always they've always been out there as far as I'm aware that they exist, type of deal. And You know, it was really fun when we drew them. We really thought like, holy cow, man, this is we didn't know if it was a great matchup or not. We just knew that's who we got, and we were thankful to be there. But yeah, we were excited about it, definitely. And then for us, we playing a team that we really love putting pressure on people, and so it was right up our alley to play a team that wanted to drop back and throw the ball as much as they did. And so they're a very talented team. They were actually it's very playoffs are very cool. You get to meet people that you don't meet before. So Coach Nesbitt getting to meet him and just their vibe. It was honestly a lot very similar to ours. Like they were extremely competitive, but definitely classy and an honorable program. And so it was a very fun, competitive day. And it was one of those days we just played really well and played at home. And as you know, home playoff games statistically over time. I mean that's one of the deals to have success in the playoffs. And so hopefully, for our conference, as you saw, and then also that day we were able to, come out on top and like you said, get sacks. Our defense played amazing.
Yeah, that was one from a media perspective. I was salivating over. There were so many good matchups that first round. That one was when I'm like, oh, that one's going to be fun. These are two polar opposite squads that are playing their offensive football going two separate directions, and you you followed the script perfectly. I mean, you got the time of possession that I'm like going, if Ottawa doesn't have the ball, it's awful hard to score. Friends is going to they want to normally hold the ball and play keep away. Yeah, that was such a fun game to see which style was going to come out on top on that one, and y'all were able to get it done. You then go over and, well, you gave the eventual national champs a bit of a scare there. It's 17-7. You got a lead at halftime. Then they come back and they whittle away at it and take the lead in the fourth quarter. Jackson Waring was kind of human on the day there, especially on the ground where you see that he torched Kaiser a couple of weeks later. But I mean, you're talking about 16 attempts, 23 yards, 1.4 yards per carry, and it was really you forced him to be one dimensional, and he was able to beat you through the air. Obviously, had a couple of touchdown passes there, one to Tate Stein Smith and one to Zane Johnson, but man, you got to be proud of your kids, especially watching Grandview go on and dispense with everyone else fairly easily.
Yeah, I mean, number one, so proud of our guys. We played well. I mean, we played well enough to win. And you just came down to one of those games, two or three plays that they could have went either way, and they made those plays and were able to go on and win the national championship. So definitely, in no way do you want to take credit from a team that does that because it's really hard to win one playoff game, much less win four or five or whatever it takes now to win a national championship. And so so don't want to take it away from Grandview, but we definitely feel like we belong in the conversation of being a top 10 type of program. We showed that we can compete with among the best in the country, obviously, and in our defense, man, against, I don't know, I think Jackson was player of the year, but we were able to do a really good job against him and limit him, which was kind of the game plan. And, we just weren't able to finish out. And, some people say you got to get there and learn how to lose them before you can win them. And I hope that's true because our kids, if nothing else, has left us pretty hungry, for another opportunity to win. And from my experience, I've coached in the playoffs now twice, and we lost to Lindsey Wilson and played them in their most competitive game when they won a national championship, and then we were able to, we compete with Grandview and they won the national championship. So people should be begging to play us in the playoffs. I don't know what the deal is, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's been cool and it's been awesome for us. We want to be exposed to the absolute best of the best. We want to play the best teams out there and the names that you hear of the Grandviews of the world, and our kids don't shy away from that challenge. And I hope that at a minimum people out there realize we're not just a fly by the seat of our pants program. We feel like we belong, and we want to keep knocking on the door to hopefully win that game the next opportunity we get.
Let's take a look at your team coming back here. You've got some great pieces coming back on offense. Obviously, a little banged and bruised going into the off season, but you got a couple guys that are going to be able to get back at them. Hopefully, I would hope in spring. You never know. You got your signal caller coming back though. That's the biggest thing there. Offense runs through Cavante Baker, especially for an offense like yours. You've got to have a signal caller you trust. But it really does help that he's got guys like Elias Pino and Nick Cordova coming back. That's 2,900, 3,000 rushing yards in those three guys alone.
Yeah, very, very excited about our backfield. Cavante's been the conference player of the year, the offensive player of the year in the conference. He was the playoff game player of the game against Ottawa, Arizona there. And so, I mean, anyone who's ever watched him play walks away completely amazed. And so it'll be fun to have him for his senior campaign. And it's cool he's going to graduate there in December as well. So just such a great, awesome story and an awesome kid who, I've obviously known a long time, but yeah, we bring back Elias Pino, who unfortunately we didn't get to play with him against Grandview because of a shoulder injury, and so we sure wish he had been out there because he's as electric as they come. But yeah, him and in our slots we played two freshman slot, Mikey Lopez and Judd Cheatham against Grandview as well, and Caden Rigsby's coming back, who he was kind of up and down on some injuries this year as well, but we're very deep at the slot position, so that's great. And then like you mentioned, Nick Cordova, who was first team all conference fullback, and then we've got another young man here on campus that will be eligible next year who's a pretty good football player as well. So we're excited about him, and I think it'll be a great spring for offensive backfield.
You had sent me some stuff earlier during the season about Cavante. Give me like the 1 minute snippet of his story real quick. It's a cool one.
Yeah, there was a big article about him. You can find that if you look on Kansas.com if you're out there. But yeah, he's I coached him in high school, and he went and did the junior college thing, and had an injury there early, which kind of sidelined him and didn't go great. So he just came back home to Wichita. That's when I was coaching at Bethel still at the time, and sat out for 1 year. And then when we came to Friends, he gave us a call and kind of reached out to see if we'd still have him, and obviously we were more than excited for that phone call and told him we have the perfect spot for him. And so he's got a daughter now, and so for him, it's so much more. His daughter's going to get to watch him be a college graduate, among one of the few in his family. So that's just very cool, and just it's been awesome to see him have success both on the field and academically. And so yeah, just kind of found a home here. When I coached him in high school, he was the talk of the state of Kansas. I mean, he's a little bit of a legend in the Wichita City area, both between what he does in Little League football and then what he did throughout his high school career. And so it's been really cool just to see a kid come home to Wichita and be able to be at Friends here and play in front of his hometown and have the success he's having. And so it's been awesome, and it's been really good more than anything for Wichita kids to see, hey, let me go check that Friends place out because Cavante's there. And then when they do that, then we're able to recruit those young men and they join our team. And so it's been just awesome on a lot of levels for him personally and his family, and then obviously for us as a program and as an institution overall.
Reminds me a little bit of the story on AJ McCarron back when he was doing the UFL thing, and they asked him, "You could be a backup quarterback in the NFL right now. Why are you playing the UFL?" And he said, "I want my daughters to be able to watch me play football." That's the coolest thing. I mean, being a dad changes you a whole lot, and to be able to do that is so super cool. Defensively, man, you've got a ton of defensive linemen coming back. You do return a heavy majority on your linebacker or your defensive backs, and a slight majority of your linebackers. But I mean, you got your dudes up front. You like bringing the pressure. Talk to me about that defense and becoming even more smothering than a 14th ranked defense in SP Plus a year ago.
Yeah, our conference was amazing offensively this year. So the fact that they were the top defense in the conference, I mean, says a lot about who we are. And then I think their performances in the playoffs, I mean, tells you what kind of kids we have. They were able to, really limit Ottawa, Arizona, who was, scoring like 90 points a game or something like that. And then able to really cause some problems for Grandview there and get that quarterback on the ground and put them in some down distance and make those guys punt for about 3 quarters. And quite honestly, had we played better on offense, the defense played well enough to win in that game. So, we, like you mentioned, awesome defensive linemen coming back. We're going to be at our year now. Our seniors will have been our 4-year guys. And so they're going to be playing their 4th year, and it's going to be great, man. They're going to have an opportunity to hopefully be a top defense in the conference again and compete nationally statistically, and then, hopefully continue to get sacks and turnovers.
Well, Coach, it is a little bit of it's a feature, not a bug, of the KCAC. It's definitely a cool feature that, next year is the Shake 'em Up year in the KCAC. And as our friend Matt Middleton from Kansas Wesleyan has already told us here, y'all are going to be in the same division, and that Kessinger division, that's going to be fun between, Southwestern Friends, McPherson, K-Dub, St. Mary's,
Mhm.
Sterling. That's going to be fun. Talk to me about that new look KCAC Kessinger.
Yeah, it's whatever the matrix is, it's kind of like a 3-year out type of deal because anyway. But yeah, it's what it is. It's gonna be interesting. We lost Evangel and gained Kansas Wesleyan, and the reality of it is like you is there a better way to do? I don't know. I mean, the cool part is it shifts it up, and every program gets an opportunity, and you get a little breathe, maybe new hope into your program if you've struggled a little bit, and if you've been at it a while, you get some new rivals with some new meaningful games. And so we've just always approached it. Look, if you want to win a playoff game and you're going to be a program that can get on a bus and go compete with Grandview and you can't compete in the divisional level, I mean, what are you talking about anyway? So we're excited about it. It's going to be a great division. Whoever comes out of it will absolutely be ready for a first round playoff game, which is ultimately our goal. And so we have big aspirations here for our program, and we're super excited to compete, knowing we have great teams. And so I think the really cool part is going to be it's going to be you might be able to drop a game in that division and still make it out as the runner up in a playoff scenario because of the success that us at Southwestern were able to have this year. And so that's the hope, if anything, that maybe current success will help you if you do happen to drop one against really good teams and really good competition.
We talked with Matt Middleton during that interview as well about what he's going to be running on offense. And, you know, I asked him the question, can you see too much triple in a conference? And he said, yeah, absolutely. Your conference is already going to play you tougher. And if you add another team in there that runs some variation of triple, it's going to make your life that much harder. So, on that note, how relieved were you that K-Dub is not running some variation of the triple?
Well, I mean, again, that's a decision that everybody's got to make. We do the best, what's best for our kids and our program, and we've been fortunate to be really good at a lot of things, right? We've been really good on defense and forced a lot of sacks and forced a lot of interceptions over the years, and people try to emulate that. And in the same way, offensively, we've been the best at it in the country. If you look statistically in rushing yards across all divisions, we ran for more than anyone. We score a bunch of points per game, and so. There's a lot of people out there that might be tempted to chase us, but we just tell our kids no one will ever catch us. And so, in the end, football is a pretty simple game, and I think people might over overanalyze the schemes a little bit. And so I think I know those guys have to do what's best for them, and I know they'll do a great job up there. And it'll be interesting to see what that all looks like, and all that good stuff. So we're definitely excited to compete against those guys, and yeah, we'll whatever people do, we'll be ready to play no matter what.
Well, Coach, it has been a uphill or an upper trajectory for the KCAC. When we started this, we say it every year. Back in 2018, it was Kansas Wesleyan and who cares, whoever else. Um, and it's been fun watching the upward trajectory of the conference. Um, so, what team in the KCAC, both divisions, in your opinion, might have their window opening on a good year, or might be that next contender?
Man, that's a great question. I think our top 5 or 6 teams this year could have beaten, any. I mean, you saw the games we played. We had a really good run there, and we were in competitive games all year long. So, I mean, I think you can take. I mean, you can't say everyone in our conference. That's just not the reality of the situation. But you can look at the top 5, 6 teams across the conference in the last couple of years, and say, like I said, we've been very competitive. A lot of people think we should have been in the playoffs the year before as well, and we didn't quite make it in there as an at large. And obviously what Coach Griffin's done there at Southwestern, those guys have been phenomenal. McPherson had a good year this year. Evangel has done a very good job, and they did drop some games this year, but they've had a good program. And And yeah, so there's in Kansas Western, obviously. So it'll be interesting to see. The coaching change mid-year was crazy. They were still able to compete with Dickinson, and there's just been so many coaches come and go, and it's so hard to predict if a new coach, what that success is going to look like or not, because no two jobs are the same, and you got to figure out a new puzzle. But I do think it'll be a great league again, and it'll be interesting to see, like, what does Southwestern do. They lost their quarterback. McPherson did lose their quarterback. There's some of that like Evangel this year, I think, their RJ kid.
Hmm.
That's, I want to say McCoy, but that might not be right. But whatever their quarterback was the
Yeah.
year before, they were just a different team without him, and they were good. But there's so many factors into being, a really good football program year in, year out, and over time. And so it will be interesting to see, what those teams look like as far as quarterback play. Um, and so I think that, so if I was going to pick any team, it would be hard because ask me after week 1 or 2 when we see these new players at these new schools, right?
Right.
But I'm just thankful that all of ours are coming back, and we're really excited about that.
I tell you, the one that I always want to see, or I'm always interested to see when teams that have been perennial, um, just perennial cellar dwellers start to make a little bit of noise. I was watching actually Bethany last year and saw them. They got you take a win at Tabor, you take a win against Sterling, you take a win against Ottawa. Um, yeah, you take your lumps a lot of other places, but that's a team that I'm sitting there going, huh, that's 3 wins it's not bad for them.
Yeah, and Coach Grossner's won a national. I'm sorry, coaching a national. I don't know if they won it. I can't remember. Maybe they won it or coached in it or something like that. I don't know. Whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, been a very good coach in the NAIA a long time. They do a great job in recruiting, and so I think more than anything, it's good for our conference that there's stability at the top of programs for the most part. There's very competitive football, and everyone getting better is good for the conference, and
Yep.
especially when you want to talk about postseason play. And so I think everybody's at a pretty healthy spot at the top of their programs, and you never know. It's only February. There could be change anywhere. You know how that goes a little bit,
Yep.
especially in the coaching profession. But I've been in the conference now since 2018, and seen a lot of new people come, and a lot of people go, and everybody's excited until get in the grind of it. So how programs handle that, will be interesting to see. But like you mentioned, there are great programs with really good coaches across divisions, and so it's good for our conference, and I think it's good that hopefully people outside of that understand that as well. We have a very competitive conference with very good coaches and players.
Honestly, I was kind of surprised I haven't seen more movement since AFCA. Usually, you see a good 2 or 3 moves prior to AFCA. It seems to have been pretty quiet out of the convention. But like we like to ask every year here, just kind of get your idea of what you're going to be working on. What area of your program, whether it's an on-field thing or whether it's something that's going to be an off-the-field focus, is going to be y'all's real fine point in 2025?
Well, we've always wanted to focus on team culture, and I don't know how you measure that necessarily, but we do believe we have the best team culture involved in AF football. I think when people visit our program, we get that feedback all the time, just the type of kid we have. So, first and foremost, it will always be that. And then, secondly, it is different. When you're chasing down a championship, or you're really trying, when you're new to a program, you're trying to make strides. I think that's one challenge. It's a whole nother when you've won a conference championship, you have completed at the national level. How do you maintain that standard? And so that's been our deal every day. And our kids, they're very aware of that, so they embrace that. And like I said, you have to have some lofty goals, I guess, is the point. Because if not, I mean, where do you go from last season? And I'll tell you, our kids have been extremely hungry, and recruiting's been phenomenal. I mean, it's just been an unbelievable year as far as the amount of talent we've been able to sign and bring in. So we're just going to continue to be more and more competitive with really absolutely really good players who are going to push each other to get better. And so for us, it's just simply practicing to that standard every day that we've kind of set. And if we're able to do that, we know in the end we may not win every game, but we are certainly going to have an opportunity to win any game that we're ever playing. And so that's I don't know, it's a pretty exciting spot to be.
Well, Coach, thanks for coming on the podcast tonight. Excited to watch. It's been there's so much drama is a bad word, but there's so many compelling games week to week, in the KCAC. The only gripe I have is that standard bye drives me crazy. At least maybe one year they won't schedule it on the same week as I think it was the Heart also took a conference by the same week. I'm like going,
Yeah.
where are all my football games? This is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Well, I'm not the commissioner, but I would prefer to play out of conference. I would
Yeah.
love to play someone else. And so, I can assure you, we will play anyone at any time on any place. It's just our schedule does not allow. So if you're interested in playing us or would like that opportunity, we would love to take a scrimmage the week before, and we can just get out there and make each other's programs better. And we'd love to do that with anyone in the top 10. So please feel free to reach out. That'd be awesome.
Heck yeah. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun year in the NAI. I haven't gotten all of my preseason stuff done yet. It's tomorrow's February. It feels like January's been about 87 years long, but I'm ready to get rid of this cold weather, get into summer, and get back into fall. So we will see what the season holds for y'all, Coach. Thank you for coming on the podcast tonight.
Thank you.